And I just want to thank you all, even the participants. And this training is a very important training on publishing. I think we had to repeat it because of public demand. We received quite a number of people just requesting that we repeat the training for their sake. And we decided that this week we are going to do so. So I'm just very happy that I can see there we have quite a number of participants. So publishing is a very important aspect in academic, either academic or research institutions. And as scholars, we are required to research. And after researching, we are required to make this our research public. One of the channels in making our research public is through publishing. So this training is very important, and because we really require these skills when it comes to publishing, especially the postgraduate students, we really require these skills. You are required, for example, master's students, I think you are required to publish around one or two articles. PhD, you are supposed to publish before you graduate. So this is a very good, important training for our graduate students. We'll be able to really learn how to publish books, how to publish book chapters, how to publish journal articles. And I know we have a very able trainer who is going to take us through on in this area. And I believe he's going to take us through on how we can identify high impact journals, because one thing is publishing is one thing, and publishing in high impact journals is another thing. So we really need to publish in high impact journals that are peer reviewed and that are of quality. And we have quite a number of them that I know he's going to take us through. And also we'll need to identify, he'll also help us how to identify questionable journals, because sometimes you find yourself, you have published in a questionable journal and then maybe the lecturer rejects your article. So these are the areas that he's going to touch. And we have very quality journals, both commercial and open access. And we have very many databases or platforms that you can identify a journal for publishing your article. Like, for example, we have the SIMAGO. I think he's going to take you through SIMAGO, Directory of Open Access Journals, Open Library of Humanities, Biomed Central, Hindai for the books. So he's going to take you through all this so that we are able to, from here, we can be able to start publishing for those who have not started the process. He's also going to take you through maybe a waiver, how, because you'll be asking yourself, maybe I don't have money to publish, what do I do? And yet I have to pay some processing charges. But there are some waivers that he's going to explain to you that you can be able, the processing charges can be waived. So I know you'll have questions about royalty versus visibility, because you want to know whether you are going to gain from your publishing and all that. These are the questions that is going to answer you. And also, after publishing, how do you enhance your research? Those are the things, the questions, and the discussions that we are going to go through. So I would request you to be as interactive as possible. This training is interactive. It's not just him presenting, but if you have any questions, if you have any additions, you are free to add, and free even to comment, or even to share with others about your experiences in publishing and all that. So I'm so happy that we are repeating this training, and the entire management team is with us. The director, I don't know whether she's with us, but if she's not with us, we are together as the management team to ensure that we really impact train whatever research tools. We really train you on research tools so that you can be able to publish, to be able to publish and to be able to use the library resources. So thank you so much, and God bless you. Back to you, Milka. And I'm Rosemary Otando. Those who don't know me, I'm Rosemary Otando, and I'm in charge of technical services. I'm the deputy director, technical services, in charge, and I'm the one spearheading the trainings. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deputy Director, Technical Services. We appreciate your informative remarks. And now, without wasting time, let me invite our EMBO trainer, who is Dickens Wendo. Dickens, over to you. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Milka. Thank you, Rosemary. A very good morning to all present and all those who are connected. Let me share my screen even as I start. I hope Milka,
yes,
confirm
we can see Dickens. Go ahead.
Okay. Yes, as I've been introduced, my name is Dickens Wendo, librarian, Faculty of Science and Technology, and I believe I want to share this topic on publishing in high impact platforms. And I believe in the next 1 to 1.5 hours, we'll be able to have learned something. So my outline is to introduce what is publishing. Then I will try to demystify scholarly publishing. Then I will talk about high quality manuscript preparation. Then I will talk about publishing in open access platforms. And then I'll also talk about how to spot those journals that we refer to as predatory. And then I'll come to how to verify quality journals. And lastly, I will have some questions that a number have been sending and try to answer those questions. And I want to believe we will have to meet the following 3 objectives by the end of this session. One, we'll be able to gain a very clear understanding of high impact manuscript for publishing, because it begins with manuscript, how you prepare them, and so on and so on. So I want to believe we'll be able to have a clear understanding of how high impact manuscripts for publishing are prepared. And then 2, we will be able to appreciate the different open access publishing options that I'll be taking you through. And number 3, we'll be able to understand and spot those journals that we call predatory journals. So I believe by the end of these sessions, these objectives will have been met. Yes, to begin with, and to bring out what is publishing, is that scholarly publishing really is a long and painstaking process. Why do I say long and painstaking process? It's simply because it involves many stages that need to be completed by you as a researcher, as you as a scholar, before submission. And after you have submitted, there are further steps at the publisher's end, of which you as a scholar, you have no control over. So that is the long process that you have to go through. The most significant part of this scholarly publishing is usually peer review to assess the quality and suitability of your work for publishing. Here, reviewers usually determine the acceptance or rejection of your work. Very important people in this whole process. Therefore, scholarly works are published in scientific and academic journals, books and books chapters, conference proceedings, thesis, a dissertation, and so on and so on. So this is just but a few. It is therefore very important for a scholar to understand the various steps that are involved in this process. Then the big question we ask, why disturb ourselves of this thing, publishing, publish, and publish, and publish? One, we publish simply as an indicator of scholarly contribution. What are you contributing? Two, it is a prerequisite for grant funding. Number of postgraduate students who are doing their masters, who are doing their PhD, they are being funded, and the funders will want a published work, and therefore a reason for you to publish. It's also a way of developing a national reputation, you as a scholar. Then you as a person, your impact that you will have on you as a scholar, and the journal that you are publishing in, that impact. Again, it is a scientific obligation for scientists to publish. In academics, we have this phrase that we say, you publish or you perish. And I know for academics, this is one area that must be done and is backed on you moving to the next level. When we talk of high impact journals, what are we talking about? What are their characteristics? One, these high impact journals are characterized by eminent editorial board members. When you go through their website and they list their editorial members, they are eminent in their specific discipline. You look at the quality of papers. These papers are original and they are of cutting edge. In other words, they are par excellence. Those papers in high impact journals. Also, they are regular in publishing. If it's monthly, it is regular. Coverage, they also cover the area of coverage is also constant. They are also multinational presence, meaning they are global in nature, they are international. Language of publication is international language. For example, English, Chinese, French, and so on and so on. And when it comes to visibility, they have high impact factor. High impact factor here is a measure of frequency with which your average article in a journal that you published in has been cited in a particular year, for that matter. So they are also characterized with high impact factor. Focus also on specialization. Focus also on their specialization. In other words, their concentration and specialty is known. They do what we call collaborative research. As well as multidisciplinary research. Multidisciplinary research in this case is a research in which the tools of different sciences and disciplines are usually utilized to find an explanation to the issue under research at that particular time. And of course, right now, as we battle this pandemic, we need multidisciplinary research to be able to solve the challenges that we are going through. Quality of writing is high notch. Quality of writing of this is high notch since it is original. They are also characterized with innovation and creativity in terms of originality, in terms of novelty. And then there are community-oriented kind of papers that are submitted in high-impact journals. Of course, here community orientation involves collection, which researchers and community, in terms of stakeholders, engage as equal partners. Very important here. And these are some of the factors that characterize what we call the high impact journals. Why is the choice of a journal so important rather than publishing in any other? But we have to be very careful on to choose the journal that we publish in. Why is it important? Number one, simply because of the greater visibility of research findings. It depends on which journal you share your findings with, that will be able to give you the visibility that you want in terms of your sharing your findings. Of course, increased chances of citations. The reason why also we publish is also to be cited by our colleagues. You publish in any journal, predatory journals, chances are many people will not be able to see your findings. But you choose carefully where you want to publish, the chances of increasing your citation, they are very high. The other reason why your choice is very important is greater recognition among peers. You know, you don't just want to publish in any journal from anywhere, but journals that are recognized by your peers and those that are above you. A journal that will present your work in the best way possible, not in their way they require, but your way as much as possible. And of course, you have a reputation to keep as a scholar. You have a reputation to keep as a scholar. That is why choice is very key and is very important. Permanent access to the research. You want a place after years, you are able again to access your research findings, rather than other journals that publish within 2 years or 3 years and then they are not there. You want to access your findings, you cannot access those findings. So very important for the choice. Then a journal that has the widest reach, and of course, peer-reviewed journals will have the widest reach. Open access peer-reviewed journals will have the widest reach in terms of accessing your research findings. Now, it also boils down to how you come up with your manuscript. Very, very key and very, very important. This is where determination on whether your manuscript or journal will be, the journal that you are choosing will pick your work or not. So this is key. And when you are preparing your manuscript, think about why you want to publish your work and whether this work is publishable. The question that you ask yourself is this work that you want to publish novel? I mean, is it new? Is it original? Is it somehow unique? That's novel work. 2, ask yourself, have you added a new dimension to the existing theories? 3, is your work related directly to a current hot topic at the moment? For scientists currently, we are now struggling, for example, to look for solutions for what is happening in terms of COVID-19 and so on and so on. Those are the hot topics that will always attract funders, will attract publishers to see your research findings. The other question to ask yourself, have you provided solutions to some difficult problems that we are facing? If all your answers are yes to these questions, then as a scholar, as a postgraduate student, you can start preparing your manuscript. You can start preparing your manuscript for publishing. Now, what makes a strong manuscript for this case? A manuscript must be clear, useful, and exciting message. It must have a clear, useful, and exciting message. And it also must be presented and constructed in a logical manner, allowing readers to easily grasp the significance. Here, editors, reviewers, and readers really want to receive well presented manuscript. No one want to waste their time. They want a very clear, a very useful, and a very exciting message that is interesting to read as you move on. And this message must be presented in a very clear and logical manner, such somebody will have time to go through and read. What articles should you bring out? We have full articles, and for full articles, you ask yourself, is my message sufficient for a full article? This is usually a complete and a comprehensive research that you are carrying. Is it a short communication you want to communicate to the world? The question you have to ask, are your results so thrilling that they should be shown as soon as possible? Or you just want to review papers? These are usually the summaries of recent development on a specific topic, often submitted by invitation. There are calls out there, book chapters, or writing on a particular topic. Then once your invitation is called, you submit review papers. And so I want to bring out a way in which we can write our manuscript. I know writing process is something that not two people do the same way. But this structure that I'm presenting here is only a representation of commonly used steps. Again, depending on the different journal, they have their own format, they have their own way. But this is the commonly used steps, and I picked it from a different databases. I picked it from Elsevier and I picked it from Nature, which I know they are one of the databases that are peer reviewed. So it is not cast on a stone, but it's a representation of commonly used steps, even though I know your supervisor can have a different way of doing it, different journal, they have different policies, editorial policy on how to present it. But mostly this is how it is usually presented. We have the title, we have the abstract, we have the keywords. And then we come to introduction. You bring in your methods, your results and discussion. And then you make a conclusion, acknowledgements, references, and supporting materials, a standard way. So quickly, I want to go one by one to clearly show you what is needed in each and every area. For the title, this is the backbone of your article. And therefore, the title should identify the main issue of what you are covering in that paper. Your title should be concise, but also accurate, unambiguous, specific, and be complete. I mean, communicate. The title should use professional language and avoid rarely used abbreviations. Short and catchy titles will always attract readers. When it comes to keywords, these are labels of the manuscript. What key things are coming out from this article? And usually keywords are used by indexing and abstracting services to pick on the paper. Keywords should be specific and should use only established abbreviations. The question here, check the guide for authors for any specific guidance on keywords. And again, that journal that you want to publish in, they have information on how you can bring out the keywords on their website. When it comes to the abstract, you have to keep it as brief as possible, the abstract. Inside the abstract, you are supposed to summarize the problem under investigation, method used, results, and conclusion should be captured in the abstract. Again, make sure it is clearly written and easy to understand. Make sure it is accurate and specific while also being catchy. Abstract is usually written last to reflect the entire paper. And the rule of the thumb is, when it comes to the aim, it has to be 1 to 2 sentences. When it comes to materials and method, it should cover 2 to 3 sentences. Results again should cover 2 to 3 sentences. Discussion, conclusion should cover 2 sentences. That is the rule of the thumb. Consider that abstract is an advertisement of your article. Most of these reviewers will only go to an abstract and be able to know what you carry in the entire article. Now you come to introduction. You have now started setting the scene, and you have now a chance to convince readers of the importance of your work in the introduction. You have to describe the problem here, and the question to ask, are there any existing solutions? What are their main limitations? And what do you hope to achieve when you are describing the problem? Provide a perspective consistent with the nature of the journal. Again, here you introduce the main scientific publications on which your work is based. You cite original and important works, including recent reviewed articles. Others will differentiate this area of citation and call it literature review. But in most cases, it will come in the introduction. Editors will hate references irrelevant to the work or inappropriate judgment on your own achievement. Actually, here they will think that you have no sense of purpose at all. So when you are using references, make sure you cite only original and important works and recent works. Mostly they say 5 years or so. And therefore, in the introduction, you explain the problem, you describe your research approach, and mention existing solutions and limitation. What you need to avoid in the introduction: too wordy. Never use more words than necessary in the introduction. Do not turn this section into a history lesson. I mean, in terms of giving history lesson and lesson, usually readers lose interest. Also, to avoid is a mixed bag of introduction with results, discussion, and conclusion thrown in for good measure. Always keep sections separate to ensure the manuscript flows logically from one section to the next, As you review literature in introduction, avoid self-citation. And last time somebody asked me what is self-citation, and I answered and said, self-citation is usually referencing your own previously published work, as simple as that. Is there anything wrong with that? Well, sometimes can inflate an individual citation count. It can really inflate your citation count. That is why there is a recommendation that avoid self-citation. Then we have material and methods section. Here you describe how the problem was studied. The question is to not describe previously published procedure, but cite clearly. Identify the equipment and materials used. You also have to use proper notations, including scientific formula and symbols that you will use. And here you have to provide the controls used in materials and methods. Giving the results, use descriptive headings that concisely state the results. In terms of data presentation, it must be concise and very accurate. Very important here, accurate. Concise and accurate. It must be short and easy to understand the results. The results must be consistent with the abstract as well as the introduction. They must tally. In other words, they must tally. You provide tables and figures where needed. And here, these tables and figures, you have to also provide sufficient information where it is required. Don't repeat information in graphics and text. That's just a caution. Now you are discussing what the results mean. You are interpreting the results. Make the discussion correspond to the results and complement them. Again, you have to compare published results with your own. Is it confirming? Is it disagreeing? Avoid statements that go beyond what the result can support. Avoid non-specific expressions. Avoid new terms not already defined or mentioned in your paper. And you have to avoid speculations on possible interpretations that are not rooted in facts. Now you are making a conclusion. Here you have to explain how your work advances the present state of knowledge. You are not repeating results or the abstract in conclusion. Discuss uses, extension, or applications. You also suggest future experiments in your conclusion. Make sure you are clear to help the reviewers and editors judge your work and its impact in your conclusion. In other words, your conclusion should be as powerful as the introduction, as the abstract. In terms of acknowledgement, make acknowledgement for those who supported you, your advisors, your financial supporters and funders, your proofreaders and typists, your suppliers who may have donated any help in the process of your research. References, you have to cite current and main scientific publication on which your work is anchored. Make sure your reference citations is accurate and complete as required by the journal that you are sending your work. As I had mentioned earlier, avoid excessive self-citations. Avoid excessive citations or publication from the same region again, just to be global. Read the reference style that you need to use depending on the editorial policy of the journal. Then we have management tools that are in place that are able to help you to manage your references, like Mendeley, Zotero, and so on and so on. When it comes to ethical consideration, you have to be very keen and careful. Remember, you are a scholar. Please note that all scholarship builds upon the work of others. Others have been there, they have done some research, they have published, their findings is out there, build on their work. Give credit where it is due. So you can see this gentleman here is giving credit to this madam on what she wore on this occasion. And then avoid plagiarism. Don't use someone else's ideas without acknowledgement. And that is why we have training on Turnitin. We have training on citation, so on and so on. Allow the reader to trace your sources. This is where you do correct referencing and citation so that we are able to trace the source of your work you used. In ethical consideration, be keen on scientific misconduct. Be keen on scientific misconduct, such as when you falsify your results. That becomes a scientific misconduct. When you duplicate submission or publication, and when you don't give us, tell us in advance any conflict of interest, that also becomes scientific misconduct. Always be keen when it comes to ethical consideration. When it comes to submitting your paper, you have gone through that process and now you want to submit your paper. It's very advisable to do a cover letter to the editor-in-chief as you introduce your manuscript. Again, one publisher at a time. As I've mentioned, it becomes a scientific misconduct when you submit to more than one publisher your work. Obtain co-author's consent if you are more than one. Once you submit your work, please confirm with the other co-authors. If not, it again becomes misconduct. Agree on authorship and order of author list. Who will become first, who will become second, and who will become third. In academics, if you are publishing for PhD, the requirement is at least you submit or publish 2 articles in the peer-reviewed journals, and for masters, you publish at least 1. The rule is you become the first author and your supervisor becomes second and third in that order. Again, there is a link here in which you are able to know just a guide of how the place of author and the order of authorship. And that link is here. You can go through it later. It is defining the role of authors and contributors, why authorship matters, who is an author, and non-author's contribution. It gives you a clear information on the same. Very, very important for you. Sorry. And also, again, we have Harvard Medical School authors guideline that is able to guide you on the order of authorship, on how it is supposed to come in. Here, you will be able to know authorship, order of authorship, and implementation. This article is here also from Harvard Medical School authorship guidelines. I hope we, up to there, we are clear. I'm clear. And then declare any conflict of interest, if any. If not, it becomes a misconduct. Check against publishers' instruction. Most of the publishers, if not, they have a website. So go through their website and confirm what is their instruction. Lastly, but not least, read and understand the publishing contract. Very, very important. Is there any payment you receive? How is the mode of marketing of your article once it's published? You know, that is usually there. Read and be able to understand. If you are unable to understand, Make sure you keep somebody with legal mind to interpret for you. Otherwise, you may sign things that later on you will be able to ask, why did I sign on this dotted line? Now, submission process. You as the author, you are on the end at the very beginning, and then we have the editor in the middle, and then we have the reviewer. So you submit your manuscript and you meet all the basic requirements as we have gone through those basic requirements. If yes, you meet the basic requirements, you will be assigned reviewer or reviewers. If you do not meet the basic requirement, your work is rejected. But if your work is taken to the reviewer gives recommendation, and you collect your recommendations, whether your paper was accepted with minor correction or with major corrections. If with the correction, you revise your paper and you resubmit again. If it's accepted without correction, then you are ready to celebrate that your work has been accepted and is ready to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, high-impact peer-reviewed journal for that matter. What are some of the reasons why your paper may be rejected earlier? One, if your paper is of limited interest or covers local issues only. If you're writing your paper and therefore you only concentrate on a particular area that is local, or a book chapter, therefore it is easily rejected. If your paper is a routine application of well-known method, there's no new method that you are presenting, or your paper presents an incremental advance or is limited in scope, it can always be rejected. If your paper novelty and significance are not immediately evident or sufficiently well justified, it will be rejected. Again, this is also simple. If you fail to meet submission requirements, whether it's a paper, it's a book chapter, it will be rejected. If it has incomplete coverage of literature, it will be rejected. And then, of course, this one we don't want to discuss here because we are in the institution of higher learning. But if your paper has used a poor language or English, or the language that you are using, chances of being rejected will be high. If your paper is rejected, what is the way forward? What then? So now this is dealing with rejection. Read the instruction that you are given. If you are able to correct and resubmit. If not, move to the next high impact journal and submit your work. For your paper to be accepted, it must carry originality research, novel research, creative research, and methodology. It must have new and important research findings. It must have quality information, in that matter, scientific quality information. It must have experimental design and methodology that we can see research data presentation, can have depth of investigation, thorough and logical discussion of results. If they have this, acceptance is high. If your paper or book chapter has clarity of presentation, these are in a very organized way and well presented. When the readability is so clear clarity of writing, grammar is of high notch. And then if it has the importance in the scientific world, if it's providing solution to the many, many issues that are affecting society, it will be accepted. I want to move now to a very important also part, publishing in open access. This is the way to go academically. There is a movement of open access in which we are being encouraged to publish our work in open access so that we are able to provide this information freely without any hindrance. So what is open access for that matter? Open access to knowledge is a generic term used for knowledge resources made available in the public domain for public access or public consumption at large scale. Here, without any hindrance of subscription fee. In other words, there are no costs or access barriers to the same. Very important to know that accessing this information without any hindrance of subscription fee or access barriers, as long as you observe all copyright laws that are in place. Copyright owner usually stipulates how content is used using Creative Commons license. So there are licenses in which, as copyright owner, you are able to stipulate how your content will be used. You as the author, you pay processing charges. You pay processing charges as the author or the one who is submitting your work. If you want to know this is an open access, usually it has a button, and which I have just indicated there, that shows this is an open access work. A backlog that is open, actually. That's open access work. And then why publish in open access? Everybody now is publishing open access, yet I have to pay to publish in open access. One, visibility and wider reach. Remember, since your work is open access and anybody and everybody can be able to access it, it has high visibility and wider reach. And then free to share your work. There are no access barriers to this, and then therefore wider reach. Again, most of the funders also require, mostly, not all, that you publish in open access. I have selection tools here where to publish. I call them whitelist. You can publish in any journal that belongs to this whitelist. We have the directory of open access journals. I'll be opening and showing you. We have the SIMACO, we have Scopus Preview, we have Web of Science, we have African Journal Online, we have other INAS Journal Online project. Any of the listed journals in this area, one, they are open. Number two, they are peer reviewed. They are not predatory. Please note that any journals in these databases, they are open and they are peer reviewed and do not belong to that category of predatory journals. And let me just give an example of directory of open access journals. as to illustrate what I'm trying to say. Now, as you can see, this is the directory of open access journals, where it is in 80 languages, meaning it is international, 128 countries represented, and then almost 12,000 journals without article processing charges. And anybody now can go here and see which are these in my field that I am able to publish without processing charges. Then there are more than 16,000 journals in it, and then more than 6 million article record. And therefore you can see how huge this database is in terms of publishing your work in open access journal that is peer reviewed and that is high impact journal. So as a scholar, depending on the different field that you are in, you search your field, your area field, the journal that you want to publish in, and you are able to check what are the subject area. For example, I've just opened those without article processing charges. And subject, you can see here, there are 511 subject area, and you can scroll it depending on your area. Those in technology, those in sciences, those in political science, philosophy, psychology, medicine, law, and so on and so on. So the choice is so wide for you to be able to make that choice and pick which one to publish. Then we have Simago. Again, it's a database with a number of open access journals, in which they provide also a list of a number of journals in which you can publish in freely. And again, they are of high impact journals, and they are peer reviewed journals. You can check journal ranks. You can explore here country ranks, Kenya, and so on and so on. I'll be going to it later. We have Scopus Preview, Web of Science, African Journal, and so on and so on as we move on. But I'll be also illustrating. As we continue with the whitelist, some publishers have services that aid in selecting a journal. Like Taylor and Francis, they have an area of call for papers. Springer Journal have what we call Springer Journal Suggester. Elsevier Journal, they have what we call Elsevier Journal Finder. Emerald, they have what you call Emerald Find a Journal. Web of Science, Manuscript, Match Manuscript. All these databases, we have them on our library website. And I want just to illustrate using Springer Journal Suggester. Now, for example, this is the Springer Journal Suggester. Once you click on it, it will give you, enter your manuscript details to see a list of journals most suitable for your research. So you enter the title here. And once you enter the title, you bring your manuscript text here, and then your subject area. It will help to suggest to you which journal exactly to publish in. This, you can do it from your end and see what result you are getting. Then we have Web of Science Match Manuscript, for example. Again, we do have this one on our website. Here, you have to register. You have to register if you've not registered. But if you have registered like me, it brings you to Manuscript Matcher, in which you give your title here. For those scholars that want to publish with Web of Science group, you have a title and you have your manuscript ready. Put your title here in the title and bring your abstract here in the abstract and find journals. You'll be able to be given a list of journals in which your title and your abstract will fit, as simple as that. So don't say Elsevier is an expensive place to publish, but they have given you a way on how to submit your work, and also they do and have open access journal also. So that is how to go about Web of Science in terms of Manuscript Matcher. There are others also. These are just not the ones that we have. We have other reputable, peer-reviewed, high-impact, open access journals that can be found in the following links. We have the first one, which gives you a list of many journals. We have also Humanities, Royal Society of Open Science, Biomed Central, and then there's this one that is called Handawi, which also I've given there with waiver. So let's go to the first one and just use the first one for example. If you want to publish in this, and this should be shared with you so that you can do it from your end. So you can see this is open access journals, and it has quite a number of places you can publish in, depending on your subject strength. They have more than thousands and thousands of journals in which you are able to select and choose. So I'm scrolling and you can see how they are there, and you cannot miss your discipline into this. You cannot miss your discipline. So there are many. So this link is out there, but I'll be also showing you later on how to get waiver when you want to publish, because open access publishing you have to pay. So, and some will say that hinders me from publishing. We have waivers out there. Publish books, book chapters, and journal articles in the following open access presses also. Directory of open access books, that is the doorbooks.org, Cambridge University Press, Luminous Publishing for monographs, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So there are quite many out there. Let me go to this first on how to receive waiver. So for most of open access publishing, usually you have to pay, but there is a negotiated article processing charges mostly. They are mostly when you come from third world countries. Third world countries, you are able to publish for free. You are able to publish for free. And I want to take you through just to show you how to publish and send your work for free. In Kenya, for example, Kenya Libraries and Information Services Consortium, in collaboration with AFIL, has negotiated a number of agreements with publishers that secure waiver or discounted article processing charges for researchers here in Kenya. The link that was negotiated is found on afilnet.com. That is the link for negotiation. You can see AFIL negotiated agreements with publishers for article processing charges. So this is the agreement that was negotiated with AFIL, and you can see the product names are here, and the publisher is here, and the type, whether fully open access or hybrid, it's also on my right hand side. So that is the negotiated agreement with different publishers. Again, if I go back, we have linked to the list of all eligible journals that one can publish in, giving details of the offer, waiver or discount is https ifl.net country Kenya. So if you click on this, you are able to see that list. So this is AFIL Kenya, and you can see AFIL has been working in Kenya since 2008 and engaged with Kenya Libraries and Information Services Consortium. So you can see this thing has been there. And we have that, the license, e-resources, technology product, article processing charges, and negotiated. This is the full list here. You can see the full list that AFIL has negotiated terms of open access publishing for researchers in Kenya. So for you as a scholar in Kenya, you should be interested in seeing this list. So if I download, you can be able to see that list and open. So journals eligible for waived or discounted article processing charges for corresponding authors from Kenya. Remember, it is date August 2021. So this is the latest. And you can see subject area, offer, condition, journal name. And these are the subject area, and I can assure you, you cannot miss your subject area. Biology and biomedical sciences are here. Businesses and business economics are here. Chemistry are here. Christian theology are here. And so computer science, and so on and so on and so on. Education, engineering, environmental sciences, geosciences, health sciences, quite a lot. And therefore, scholars, you can see you do not have to cry out that I do not have money to publish. You can see here this 50% discount, but the others are full waiver. Very few in terms of 50% discount, but quite a lot in terms of waiver. So scholars, you have the information out there. This is the information that you need, where to publish, to get waiver, to have your discount in peer-reviewed high-impact journals. Information is also found, this information is also found on the library website, UNBI library website. I mean, under waiver on article processing charges. So if you click on the library website, the University of Nairobi website, this is the Library of Nairobi website. you'll get this information here. So basically what you do, this is the library website. And of course, if you want to reach this website, you can call through the UNBI main library, university website, and then you come to library website. So if you scroll down, you will see research on my left. Down there, you can see we have plagiarism and originality checking. We have high impact journals guide. So basically this information that I'm trying to give to you is already on our website. We have open access resources. We have referencing and citation. We have dimension.ai, very powerful tool also. We have e-thesis. We have waiver. Now I want to concentrate more on this waiver. So if you click on this, just on our website, you're able to get this information here. You're able to get this information, waiver on article processing charges for researchers. That information I wanted you to get, you can get it either directly afl.net/country/Kenya, or you go to the library website under waiver on article processing charges for researchers. So this information is with you. Now your work is on you to present your manuscript in whichever subject area you are in. You are able to publish for free through waiver or discounted article processing charges. Correct. Having said that, let me go to my final area on how to identify predatory journals. The term was coined by the librarian by the name Geoffrey Ball. This Ball's list was a prominent list that was maintained by University of Colorado librarian by that name, Geoffrey Ball. Of course, it was on his blog. Of course, it was deactivated in 2017. The list aimed to document open access publishers who did not perform peer review. And these journals corrupt and exploit the author in terms of pay model and open access. They make a request for charges without providing value addition for the services. They don't do quality checks, they don't do peer review, they don't look at the language, formatting, and so on and so on. They have false or misleading information in terms of indexing, editorial board, contact information. Some of this information is either false or is missing. They are very aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation of content. Again, they lack transparency when it comes to article processing charges. This is how they operate their business. In terms of predatory journals. So why are these predatory journals so tempting? And you can see from my two photos there, from which I picked from that source that I have indicated down here. We have on my left, credible journals, a lot of hurdles on the way. You know, before you get your work published, it must go through peer review, it must be revised, it must be rejected, rejected until it's accepted, simply because of quality. Those are the hurdles that you can see you have to jump through. But when it comes to predatory journals, they lay a red carpet for you. You know, there is no problem. Wow, greetings. We adore you, you researcher. Welcome. You know, life is so easy. Therefore, you get tempted. Imagine you are being given a red carpet, and that's the difference. That is really the difference. And I usually give this example of here in college, former college of CPPS, currently Faculty of Science and Technology. A while back, I received a request from professors. They had published their work in American Journal of Modern Technology. So they wanted to find out if this journal is credible or predatory. Of course, there are some ways you can check, which I'll be showing you. But when I went to the editorial board, I couldn't verify members of the editorial board and their affiliate association. When I went to indexing in either Scopus and Web of Science, it was none. There was no such name. Again, the journal was not clear about the type of peer review they carry. Information was so scanty on the website. But the information I gave to the professors that caution should be taken when you are submitting your work in this journal, because they appeared to be receiving their work or receiving professors in a red carpet. So look out for such. Look out for such. How do you verify? There's this checklist. This is a tool that will help you discover what you need to know when assessing whether or not a journal is suitable for your research. This is the site you will be able to use to confirm and to verify. And that is the site I used when I was responding to these professors. They tell you have to think. Once you have thought, check. If all the checking here, here you check, they are all ticks here in this information, then submit. Then you submit. So this is the site that can help you as a scholar just to confirm whether this is a predatory journal or not. And of course, vast list of potential predatory journals and publishers, it is here. You can also confirm with this list, just to confirm that the journals listed here, there are quite a number of them here that are predatory journals, which they don't go through that process that we have just mentioned. So there are so many ways in which you can confirm whether this journal is a predatory or potential predatory journal or peer-reviewed journals. Now, some of the questions that we have been receiving and we are able to answer, the first one is, some article processing charges are prohibitive. And I believe I've answered that question already, in which you have to confirm and check waiver for developing countries through electronic information for libraries. And that has confirmed budget. Some funders have a budget in which you can use to be able to publish your work. The other question is, there is misconception that open access journals are of lower quality. The answer is no. Not all open access journals are questionable. However, the model of open access publishing is vulnerable and thus easily abused. So you have also to check through that way that I've shown to confirm. There is great advocacy in terms of open access publishing, and in equal measure, advocacy on platforms like DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journal, and selection tools to help filter out those open access journals. What happens if, as a young researcher, I had already submitted in a predatory journal from not knowing they exist? And this is where you need to do a lot of verification before you submit your work. Simply because once you submit, unfortunately, it might not be possible to retract, as a lot of these journals would not have policies in place, including procedures for retracting that paper. They may not even be willing to engage with you after you have paid. They are more interested with your payment. Once the paper is published, you can't publish it elsewhere, period. For mainstream journals, there is usually policy on retracting. So for you, a scholar, for you, a potential scholar who want to publish, be on a lookout. Make sure you go through this process, confirm that the journal you want to publish in is not among the predatory journal. Remember, for postgraduate students, you cannot graduate if you published in a predatory journal. So it's very important for you to lay ground at the very beginning, before you send your work, to know which journal you are publishing in or which platform you are using to send your work in. After your work has been accepted and published, you have to do what we call promoting your research for maximum impact. And of course, we have quite a number of online scholarly tools that you may use. A question you may ask: why do I need to be online, or your online presence? Remember, scholarship is increasingly going digital. This is in terms of academic networks. You find them online. Profiles, we find them online. And even online journals, they are online, and so many others. Again, you have to showcase value of your scholarly activity through online presence. Once you are online, collaborators will be able to pick you out. You also build connections with potential funders. And where will they find you? They will find you online. So therefore, stand out from the crowd and promote your research for maximum impact. I know we usually have a session for this, but some of the tools to use, we have Google Scholar. The current and most active one is ResearchGate. ResearchGate. We have Scopus, we have LinkedIn, we have Academia, we have ORCID, which connect research and researchers. We have Twitter, we have Figshare, we have Impact Story, PaperPress, so many. There are quite a number of them. Basically, what I'm trying to share with you is to stand out from the crowd and have your work and increase visibility, your publication, you network, you find potential collaborators, and you find funders. You can only do this when you are online. My colleague Timothy, I know is usually good in this area. He will be having session another time just to take you on how to get connected on ORCID, on Google Scholar and other online tools. As I finish, monitor your article. Monitor your article, how it is being picked out there in new outlets, how it's being blocked, how it's being tweeted, how it's being mentioned in Google, and so on and so on. I mean, you have to know, for example, there is a paper I published in one of the university press. Every month, I actually receive the downloads that have been downloaded per month in that period, the time it has been cited. Every month, I do receive that information via email. So monitor your article. How is it being engaged out there? It's very important to know citation. We all want our work to be cited, just to know your work has an impact out there within a given period, within a given time. So quite a number of information. I got it from these references. And therefore, I've come to the end of my presentation. I will invite questions and answers to see if I can be able now to take them. Thank you. Milka, are you there?
Dickens, thank you very much for that very informative presentation. In fact, I need not add any other information because I believe as far as publishing is concerned, we are better placed. So thank you very much. I think now the questions, when I look at the chat, I don't seem to pick any question unless we have one from the participants. Because the one which is there, they're asking about the presentation. And as you had mentioned, we are going to post it together with the other presentations in the library website. As you have highlighted, there is also some information about publishing in the website. So unless there's a burning question from the participants before we close, any question for Dickens? If not, just before we close, let me take this opportunity to thank you, the participants, because I know without you, we would not be in a position to hold this training just as the library department. So thank you very much for having taken time to join us. And I would like to invite you for Friday's training. We shall be training on Turnitin. And then next week, we shall train on Zotero, the citation and referencing tool. And that will be on Wednesday. That's when Wednesday next week, we shall train on Zotero. And then on Friday, we shall train on information searching skills, because we need you to have the skills on how you can combine your key words so that you can be able to retrieve information from the databases. What are the best techniques to use in order to come up with whatever information or relevant information for that matter. So that is what we shall be training on, and the Corporate Affairs Office will broadcast that information via email, so be on the lookout. And then just to mention about next month, some time back, there are some participants who had requested that Apart from training on Zotero citation and referencing tool, we could also add Mendeley, which is also a citation and referencing tool. So starting from next month, we shall start training on Mendeley also. So that is what I want to say before we close. Because we started with the word of prayer, it would be good we also close with the word of prayer. I would ask one of the participants to volunteer and close for us with the word of prayer. A volunteer? Anyone? Anyone who can close for us with the word of prayer? Our participants.
Okay, let us pray.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Joyce from chemistry. Let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you, Lord, for the training that we have had. Thank you, Lord, for the understanding. And thank you, Lord, for the flow that you have been able to follow in the publishing of books and the papers. And we pray that Lord grant us more knowledge so that you can be able to articulate all that you have been able to be taught. And we pray that all of us, Lord, to have even time and that energy and that determination to make our work known and known worldwide. Thank you, Lord. We pray that you protect our health and you protect our lives. And also even the other coming trainings, we pray that all of us that we can be able to participate. And it's in Jesus' name we pray and give thanks.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kidore.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yes, bye. God bless
Bye.
all of us. Until next time. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.